Happy to see that everyone started introducing themselves in the chat. Please keep those introductions coming. So if you can go to the next slide. So for today's agenda, we're going to be doing introductions and icebreaker activities through Mentimeter, just a chance for us to get to know you more. And then we'll be doing a breakout rooms activity, which is also a chance for you to connect with each other. And then we'll be doing a closing and reminders for the few next events that we have coming up. Next slide, please. So a little bit about YouthPower 2 Learning and Evaluation for those who are new to the COP and have not attended any of our events before. So we are a USAID funded activity that aims at the integration of positive youth development evidence and best practices into youth programming to ensure more sustainable change. And you can learn more again about that through our website. Next slide, please. And our COP is specifically for youth engagement, and it is focused on meaningful youth engagement in all aspects of youth programming. When we have members join our COP, we expect them to contribute to building a common sense of purpose, to share interests, ideas, resources, and expertise with the COP members. We also expect them to engage respectfully on our platforms and with other COPs and network members, because we do have COPs with different themes. And again, you can see them on the website. We do hold virtual meetings and events that we expect them to attend. They can also participate in our COP discussion group on the youthpower.org page. And we expect them to identify and engage in relevant opportunities in the learning network. These are also some of our guiding principles. I won't go through them in a lot of detail, so we can give time for the networking portion of the event, but we do foster meaningful connections. We try to map networks for engagement, create and curate practical resources, which are the heart of our network. We've inclusion into fabric of the network, ensure member agency and agility, and empower champions to facilitate. Of course, because young people are key into the success of this network and the project as a whole. Right, next slide, please. Great, so I'll hand it over to Justine now, and she'll be walking us through the next activities.
Great. So since the whole purpose of networking events like this is to get to know each other, to start talking to each other and loosen up and feel comfortable with each other, I figured we would start it off with a fun icebreaker to get to know who is in the room a little bit better. So we're going to start with a Mentimeter. If we could go to the next slide.
Starting with the first one. Great.
So which term best describes your current role? And like you see, we have another section here. Are you a student? Are you a researcher? Are you a practitioner, worker, implementing partner, or do you follow another?
And to everyone here with us, you can take your phone and scan the QR code that you're seeing and respond to the activity on your phone, or you can again go to menti.com, use the code, and use it on your laptop. But great to see a lot of your responses coming in. We have a few practitioners with us today, which is exciting. But we also have a very diverse group. That's very cool. Great, I think we can move on to the next slide.
So this one is an open-ended question. Feel free to describe a little bit more about your work, your specific sector, what you're doing, and let's see, a word cloud will populate and let's see who we have in the room. Looks like we have a very diverse group as well. We have peace and security, we have law and finance, international development, youth development, advocacy, mental health, actuarial, law. Okay, so it looks like we have another few international developments in there. Very interesting. Ooh, electoral justice peace. This is great. We're gonna have such an interesting networking conversation. Hmm. Okay, thank you all for your responses. Let's go on to the next question. So for this one, what type of connections are you looking to make? And so we have informational interview, mentor, mentee, professional connection, or other. So what we mean by informational interview is as you're talking to people, if you see somebody who has a similar career path or interest or works at a place that you're interested in, you would like to connect with them and have a longer form conversation. If you are looking for professional connections, you're looking to grow your network, you see the opportunity to collaborate or something, you can click that. And then other, we didn't think of everything. So the world is your oyster and, and you can have whatever conversations you like. Okay, this is great. So let's go over to our final question. This is going to be a little bit of a curveball one. So exactly. You know what? We already see some answers being populated. Stayed unmute while speaking. What's the strangest thing you've done on a Zoom call? I'm sure if anyone has pets or children or siblings or roommates or, just forgets occasionally that they're on a Zoom call. It's been about 4 years since the world moved more to mixed medias. Love it. Love seeing the self-care that's coming through here. Yeah. Yeah, you know, sometimes when you're in those long meetings, you just need a snack. Oof, your video on when you're not aware. That's one of my greatest fears. Yep, I currently have a cat on my lap right now, so I empathize with the cat jumping on a keyboard. And for anybody who recently joined, feel free to scan that QR code or in order to join the Mentimeter on your phone, or you can join using the website above and the code. I see that a few people might have joined in the middle of this activity, so we definitely want to give everyone an opportunity to join us and participate. We'll take about another minute or two for any final answers to come in. Great. Okay, well, I hope that that got people's desire to talk and sort of open up going. I know with networking, it's only as good as the conversations that you all start and that you all have. Originally, we were going to do 3 breakout rooms, but since this seems like a very intimate group, I think we can just keep it all in one room. And we can sort of just have a conversation with each other, start networking with each other. And then let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Yes. So we can just keep it in the room. And it looks like most people are here for you know, professional opportunities. A few are here for mentor mentee and a few are here for other. So the themes of the breakout rooms that we were going to have were a professional opportunities. If anyone wanted to share any resources, certificate opportunities, resources, things like that, that they have gained that they believe could be helpful. You know, we saw a number of overlapping industries. Another one was going to be challenges, solutions, and things I wish I knew earlier. And then the other one is just going to be an open chat. So I think we can do all 3 of these in one room. So I don't know which brave person wants to kick it off, but I'm going to turn it all over to you now. I'm going to stop talking.
So, Catherine, do we have the room ready to send? Do they need to join or will they receive an invitation on their screen?
Since there's so few, I was thinking we can keep it all in the main room.
Okay, sounds good.
Unless actually I'll ask the group, given the specific topics that we talked about, would you like to be in separate rooms or would you like to have one conversation? We can just do by a show of hands. If you'd like to just stay in the main room, feel free to put your hand up. Okay. We have 2 votes for that. If people want to be broken into thematic rooms, feel free to put your hand up. Okay, we have 1 vote for that, and it seems like everyone else is flexible. So we'll just keep it in here then, since more people seemed interested in staying in this one room. Okay, so then to kick it off, I guess the question that I'm going to ask everybody is sort of a fun, well, I think it's a fun question. What is a challenge or solution or something that you wish you knew earlier in your career, in your education, wherever you're at, even in life? What's something you wish you knew earlier?
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to start it off. My name is Catherine Duden. I'm the one that you're supposed to be messaging if you have technical issues. So I provide operational support to the YP2LE COPs. Something I wish I knew earlier is that it's okay to pivot. I come from a family where their education and their career, it's all one linear path. It's all very simple and easy. Like you study to become an engineer, you work as an engineer. You study to become a veterinarian, you work as a veterinarian. And I'm the first one in my family to do something that doesn't have a very linear set career path. So that's something I wish that I had known earlier, is that it's okay to pivot. All of the skills, or the vast majority of the skills that you learn, are transferable from one job to another, from one sector to another. So
Thanks so much for sharing, Catherine. Anyone else would like to maybe unmute themselves and tell us what is something they want to share, or maybe even put it in the chat? So we have someone from Pakistan in the chat that said they wish they knew earlier how important it was to publish your work in order to secure a good job as a researcher. So they wish to have done that earlier. I think that's also a very valid point. We have another participant from the Caribbean said that one of the things that they wish they had known earlier was resources to help them with their skills development when they were much younger. Also a very valid point. I think a lot of us, especially from the global south, get this thought or feel this way at a certain point in our careers. And that is why we also have the COP, and we have the space to engage with other young people, to disseminate knowledge and learn from them. So maybe based on this comment, if any of you knows of any skill development website or courses or resources, toolkits that you want to share, feel free to add them in the chat or in a response to the comment of Ruth. But in the meantime, anyone else would like to share any lessons learned, something they wish they knew earlier, maybe a challenge that they've learned something very significant from?
Hello, everyone. I hope I'm heard.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. For me, I think it is to look forward and know that I wish probably I had a clear career guidance at say university about specifically the legal profession. It has captured many that one looks at the legal profession as that I have to practice law. Yet for me as an individual, it was never my interest. So while I was studying, it was not really, but it was the normal process. It was the normal way that you have to practice law, you have to study, finish your degree, then do the other postgraduate. Now I realize it's not necessary that I have to practice law for me to have an impact even still in the legal profession. So I feel it is something that the profession is too wide. You can choose to go into practice, but also the other available opportunities if you shape yourself as early as possible through the universities by tapping into the different engagements that one would be interested in.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Also, again, sadly, in a lot of global South countries, we do lack that academic guidance when we're doing our studies, or we might also feel, pressured. I know it happened to me, feeling pressured to follow a certain, career path, or having to get one degree after the other, not being able to take a break between them to even reflect and see if it is something I want to do as my own career. But yeah, that's a very, very valid point. So anyone else?
Yeah, this is Obed from Uganda again. I think for me, when I was in school, we learned very many things which are really not applicable today. For example, they used to really focus so much on the traditional jobs. Talk about teaching, talk about the law profession. Joshua has just mentioned medicine, but as time went on, we realized that actually the world is evolving more than the traditional vocation that they used to emphasize. So I wish I had known that. I would really become really flexible to really focus on developing my soft skills when I'm a bit young, so that I see the world as a dynamic place, and think of being creative when addressing the global issues. So pretty much the school gave us a lot more that is not used today. So if I had known, really I would have focused to ensure that this is where I fit and this is where I can focus on. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, also very relatable case. And based on that, I also want to ask, since we talked about the challenges, what is one thing that helped you in your career to, pivot from these challenges and go into something that you like doing, or maybe not necessarily pivoting, but maybe learning more or improving? So, what are the solutions that you found or came up with?
Yeah, since I'm still fresh, I can go on. When I finished my university, I started looking for a job like any other graduate, but along the way things were not making sense. So there was this leadership fellowship program that I undertook, and it gave me an opportunity to rediscover myself, realize my potential. And that's where I got to know that, okay, our education might not be really significant, but there are other skills that one might need in order to achieve like a personal goal. So if there are like really bridging programs for for students that have come out of school, to give them enough like really guidance as they transition from school to work, so that they go there with an open mind, but also focus on building the different soft skills. I think that would be great. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing. I definitely agree with that. And yeah, I think it's very important to reflect on it also that way. Definitely 1,000%. Justine, maybe you want to go over the comments in the chat?
Yeah, I've just been watching them come as they come in. So it looks like Ruth was saying that they're involved in youth development, where they promote experiences of skill development. From their my experience of lack of awareness of resources, I then decided to create a platform, youthsbeempowered.tt, to help connect youths in my country with opportunities to be skilled and productive. However, anyone can access the platform on Instagram, as I not only promote programs locally in my country, but global opportunities. That's incredible. That's great that you took that initiative. You identified a community problem. You saw something that was directly impacting the youth population in your community and globally, and you created a solution. So definitely, Ruth, if you can drop the Instagram handle in this chat, that way people can join. Joshua says the question clearly may equally mean the mentor-mentee session is still important in professional connection. Definitely. And so mentor-mentee relationships are critical to, working forward, and they also can just be helpful in terms of support. Sometimes we come across difficult situations or aren't quite sure how to manage connections or break into certain things. So having a mentor can be really helpful. However, that's not the only way. I know that for my career, I've had some really great connections and support systems and things like that. I don't think there was ever a time I could identify having a single mentor, or pointing to that person as, you are my mentor and you're great. But I will say that I've had a lot of allies that have helped me get to where I am, and I really appreciate that. Thank you, Catherine, for talking about Coursera. Great. Thank you, Ruth, for posting that Instagram handle there. And then also Catherine for reiterating that we have YouthPower and YouthLead. You've been part of a USAID activity in Kosovo, through which we established a youth support network consisting of different stakeholders and youth themselves. Oh, that's really interesting. Does anybody else have any sort of like community grassroots resources that either they've established or can share with others in the chat?
Yes, hello.
Yep, we can hear you.
For me, I think the other aspect of trying to address some of the things was indeed, like you highlighted, it's not an issue of just the mentee. Sometimes they're equally hard to identify depending on the areas we come from, because you want this and then it's not exactly there. It's also self-discovery, and like Mugisha said, continuously probably looking out for those courses, training courses, if opportunities available, you do them, and through those networks, you're able to grow yourself and to grow your networks and discover areas of interest with certain people who are aligned to your vision. And I think for me that has been very key. And I can give an example. Back here in Uganda, around 2016, as elections were happening, I was with some colleagues, and then we happened to see some uneventful moments of the electoral processes. So from then we decided and started out an organization that we called Center for Electoral Justice and Research. But this was basically a youth-led organization, and being that I personally had been a youth leader through my district, that gave me an opportunity to understand that, hey, if this personal experience was also coming to me, then it means it can happen to any other person. So that gave me an opportunity. But along the way, we have happened to engage in other activities, and just recently we have been engaging with young people for the past 3 years in the Great Lakes region on peace and security, with colleagues across the Great Lakes region, that is Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, and specifically those areas, and Rwanda. And we came out as the project was ending, started out a youth coalition for peace and dialogue that it's in its formative stages. Engagements are already moving on. We are yet to put out the official social handles and everything, but we can always share since we are building a network here too, and that has given me also an exposure into the other parts of the region. So in a way, it is growing, and I'm also building on that. As I speak today, in the coming 1 month, I'll be attending a foreign policy executive program here in Uganda, organized by the American Embassy. So all these are building me up and shaping me up in my areas of interest. I think for me, that's what I was really trying to build, to open up to the world in areas that I'm interested in. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, those are all really great ideas and insights. And then yes, in the chat, Isaac, thank you for sharing another online resources, the Humanitarian Leadership Academy. And then as we're talking about resources, I see that we have Maxime or Maxim. I apologize. I don't want to put how to pronounce your name correctly. I don't want to put you on the spot, but it would be great if you could share a little bit more about the tool that you created, just to catch you up. Given our group size, we're just keeping this as an open networking conversation and resource sharing and tool sharing within the main group. We decided that this would be better since there is a more intimate group versus breaking it off into individual sessions. So if you feel up to it, I'm more than happy to turn it over to you to discuss some of the tool that you've created and how it can apply to helping young people or early career professionals or things like that.
Okay, thank you. Do you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, thank you. I'm really sorry I'm late. I have issues of connections at 9 a.m. So I'm Maxime Legrand, and as you can understand, I'm French because of my accent. And I'm sorry of that. We had the opportunity to set up a tool for guidance and counseling of students. It had been developed in a USAID and FHI project in Morocco about work readiness and employment of youth in public universities and professional centers in Morocco, in 3 regions of Morocco. It was a global project of USAID to improve the work readiness. And we participate to this project to set up digital tools for work readiness, and specifically one which help students to define their personal and professional goal. And not only, it's not a determinist tool. What I mean by determinist tool, it's the test that students can do, and the tool decide for them which job they could do, and after they have to help themselves. Our tool is not determinist, it's a constructivist tool, and it helps students to build their project, to define their career pathway, considering their skills, but also their wishes. And most of the tools about counseling on the market or in the world are very focused on the skills and not on the wishes. So we developed this tool for Morocco, and then we use it in other parts of the world to help students to define their educative and job pathway with very innovative and disruptive approach, to go further to define their pathway and strategy and final goal without being fixed, but what could think the parents, or what could think the teachers, or what could think everybody, and that they are able to define their own project. That's very important in places where there are less jobs than youth, because it will help them to define very singular project, to have a project which is not the same than their neighbors and their classmates, and to have a very, very specific project. I can put in the chat in the next minutes a link showing, which is a small video about the tool, but you can consider that there are a few steps in the tool, which is very interactive with the student and very interactive also with the counselor. It means that if you have a career center, your employees, the employees of the career center, will be able to assess where the student is in the process of counseling, and to work with the student. It means that it could be a total digital tool, but it can be used also during meetings between career centers teams and the student. You can be both online, offline, using the tool, the digital tool, to save time, but also to have very interactive session, human interactive session. So I can put the link in the chat, but the main step is to work about the skills of the student, then to help them with different steps to define the final goal, and then to design the pathway between the situation of today and the final objective, the final step. And of course, this final step will change with the life, with the years. But as I am used to say, the best way to change of strategy is to have a strategy. And most of the time, there are issues of work readiness and of employment, because young students, youth, specifically in very disadvantaged countries or neighborhoods, think that they have no future. And this tool will help them not only to define their final goals, their career goals, but to find hope, and to be able to not to be blocked, to be fixed, but by what they think about themselves. I hope that it was clear, and I can answer to questions if you have questions, and I can put my email in addition to the link of the video in the chat to save time for other people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We really appreciate that, and definitely look forward to sharing your video. I know we've had a few conversations around different opportunities or things like that. Since we have Maxim here, did anyone want to ask any questions about the process or the tool itself? I guess I have one question. When you were creating this tool, how did you go about working with a team of it? Was it something you worked on with yourself? Were you working with other young people? How did you sort of identify this need?
Yeah, it was very amazing, a very amazing project because it was a need identified by the team of the project, the team of FHI and USAID, not to have only career centers, physical career centers, sedentary career centers, but to have also digital tools to be able to help students not able to go in the career center. So the need was identified, but we designed the tool totally with the students. We spent a few months, in the career centers with physical tools, for instance, cards, because we have the digital tool, but we have also, games, cards, helping students, for instance, what are your skills, and they can play all together, but also, the jobs, and behind the card, you have the definition of the card, but also the skills and the wishes connected with this job. So we designed the tool in the career center with the teams of the career centers, with the students. And for people who will be interested, I will be able to show you some very nice videos of these students, and you will have some extracts of this witness in the video that I will put in the chat. So we defined it and we designed it with the students. Then we worked, to produce the digital tool, and we did the test in the career centers, and we worked on the digital tool, and we are going to improve it, I will say, each month.
And
Is it clear?
so, yeah, that was great. And so in your experience, and I know most experts hate this question, but what advice do you have to people who are starting out or who are trying to figure out which direction they should go in? I know that in previous conversation, we were discussing some people talking about a change in career paths. They start out studying or doing one thing, and then they realize that actually they want to pivot. This isn't something that they want to do, or they realize that they need more skills than they had, or different certificates that they didn't have opportunity to.
Yeah.
So like sort of what advice do you have for people who may find themselves in this situation?
Yeah, it means the first thing is that most of the young students don't know at all what they can do. Young students are older students, The difference is that the young students don't lie. They don't lie, and they say that they don't know. Adults, it's more difficult for adults to say that. But so it's to help them, to discover new jobs, new pathways that they didn't think about. The second thing is to change, because sometimes you are in a field, in a sector where the employment is not good, and you have skills. Most of the time they have skills that they don't aware they have it. And the tool will help them to see which type of skills they need to develop, to do this new job. Because in most of the tools, these tools start with the skills and not the wishes. And what is important for employment is to work on wishes. It doesn't mean to be not aware of the limits of your skills, but you need to start with the wishes, with the project, with the dreams, and then maybe to reduce it because of the skills. But most of the time, they don't need to reduce it because they are able to have these soft skills and these hard skills in working alone or by training, by courses, online courses, or going to university. So yeah, that's why, and the tool will help them to say, yeah, your final goal is that, this final goal, with this final goal is connected this list of jobs. And for these jobs, because of your skills of today, if you complete it with this soft skill course or hard skills course, you will be able to have the job that you didn't think you were able to have. Did I answer to your question?
Yeah, you really did. And it actually looks like there are additional questions in the chat. So, and then also Obed, I saw that you unmuted. So you go ahead before I read the questions in the chat.
Yes, thanks, Maxime, for this really great innovation, because actually it will save youth's time as they join into employment, and they will be able to do something that they are passionate about and they are aligned to. My question is, have you registered any success regarding people who have used this tool, and how does success look like to those particular individuals? Then lastly, have you tried like scaling it up, or it is still under pilot phase?
Thank you for your question, but I'm not sure I understood the end of your question. Could you precise it, please?
Yeah, my first question is, have you registered success, especially from students or from the users of this tool? And two, have you considered about scaling this tool, or it is still under pilot stage?
No, it's not. So to your second question, it's not at a pilot stage. In Morocco, I think that more than 300,000 students use it. And then in other countries, a lot of students use it also. Of course, we need to improve it, regularly, and there are also national and local specificities. It's not the same way to learn, to work, to define a project in all the countries. Of course, there are common issues and common methods, but there are also differences. So we are not at the at the step of pilot, even if we need, to improve it and to learn again. So it was to your second question. To your first question, I understood that you asked if we had success with this tool. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay,
What does success look
I
like
think
when someone uses this tool?
sorry, yeah.
What does success look like for someone who is using this tool?
I would say that if he's crying at the end of this work, considering that maybe during years and years he had no idea about what he or she could do, but also to discover all the skills he or she has. Because for instance, at the start of the tool, we asked the student to write on a paper the skills they think they have. And most of the time they write maybe 2, 3, or 4 skills. And every time after working with the tool, they are able to identify, I would say 20 or 30 or 35 tools, 35 skills, That's the first thing. The second thing is that most of the time, if you ask to the students, to the youth people, or to the adults, what they think they could do, they are thinking with the limits, not with the dreams, not with the wishes. So I would say the best success, is to see people really transformed, and it is connected with a former question, with a question before, which was about how we did the tool. We spend a lot of time working with students in the career centers, and we did the same job than the tool, but without the tool, before the tool. And it's very, very good time. It's exhausting. It's very, yeah, we work a lot, but the students are really transformed at the end of the day, because they learn a lot about themselves, about the world, about what they can do, and it's a new perspective for them. And yeah, as I said at the beginning of my answer, is when they cry, to discover what could be their life tomorrow.
Thank you so much for that. And unfortunately, we actually are coming to the end of this session. So definitely, if you can pop that link to the YouTube video in the chat, that way everyone can have access to it. This recording is also going to be saved and shared out. So we will include the link to the YouTube video with that recording. And as we want to wrap up, and we just, this is a great example of taking the tools and the connections and things that you've learned within the COP, within the youth network, and moving it beyond the space, applying it to different aspects of your life, applying it to your career. And that's sort of the point of this whole COP, is to build this community and build this network. And so as you're continuing to grow and develop and move on or transition or pivot or whatever your life is taking you, remember that you do have this set of resources and everything available to you, and that can serve you, whether you may continue to be part of the COP, whether you show up to certain events, whether you just, are a passive person looking at the posters or the postings or message boards or things like that. This is a great resource for you to have. So with that, I will turn it over to Balkis to see if there are any reminders or anything that you want to talk about.
No, I think this is it on my side. I just wanted to thank everyone for attending today, and for being present. And like we said at the beginning, we'll be sharing with you the link to the recording of this session and the slides as well, if you want to take a look at them later on. You can join our community of practice through the links that have been put in the chat at the very beginning. We'll put them again now, and everything for new members will be available there. But thank you so much again. Feel free to continue the discussion and continue this on our discussion forum on the website. You have the opportunity to post anything, any links, any ideas, any thoughts that you think might be helpful for everyone. So yeah, we'll see you there. Make sure to follow also our social media links that Catherine put in the chat. And thank you everyone for being with us today.